Putin Bad News Putin's promise of cheap living on the coast has convinced many Russian families to sell their homes and look for better deals in the occupied territories of Ukraine. Occupied Mariupol is seeing a flood of Russians looking for affordable housing. The prospect of moving to a seaside apartment was very appealing to one Russian who spoke to the BBC. After a year-long siege in which thousands of people were killed, Russian troops finally took control of Mariupol last year. The Kremlin plans to turn the occupied city of Mariupol into a Russian town, and the BBC reports that Russian families are beginning to buy property there. After a bloody siege that drove out city officials in the spring of 2022, Russian forces seized control of Mariupol. President Vladimir Putin is overseeing the transformation of the besieged town. He visited in February to look over a new Russian apartment complex. The BBC reported that Russians are moving into the area in search of cheap property, which has resulted in the installation of Russian road signs and the forced revision of educational curricula. According to the article, there have been dozens of Russians inquiring about real estate on VKontakte, Russia's most popular social networking site. Think Facebook. Vladimir, a Russian citizen who sold his house in Murmansk and relocated to Mariupol, told the BBC he did so in order to provide his family with a more affordable lifestyle in a seaside apartment. Vladimir, who only gave his first name, said that Mariupol would become a beautiful city. Russian reports paint a picture of ongoing resistance from Ukrainians, despite Moscow's claims that the city is now an integral part of Russia. According to local reports cited by Tom Porter of Insider, at least 2 Russian officers were recently killed after being poisoned by Ukrainian resistance fighters. Reportedly, Ukrainian civilians who are resisting occupation have begun using the letter, which is not part of the Russian alphabet, to express their disapproval of Russian immigration to the area. After Vladimir Putin urged Russian officials to purchase domestically made vehicles, many Russian officials began trading in their BMWs and Mercedes for Ladas and other Russian cars. Deputy Chairman of Russia's lower house of parliament Vladislav Davinkov uploaded a video of himself driving an electric Moskv ICH3E within hours of Mr. Putin's edict. "From what I can tell, it drives quite well," he said. "There's some background noise, but it's bearable." Mr. Davinkov, wearing mirrored aviator sunglasses, appeared upbeat as he drove his black hatchback through Moscow traffic, but he is accustomed to getting to work more quickly. The 39-year-old's ownership of a Mercedes S450, which can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in less than 5 seconds and has a top speed of 155 miles per hour, was revealed in a Russian parliamentary document. The Moskv ICH3E, on the other hand, is a urban crossover with a maximum speed of 87 miles per hour. Money in Russian. Mr. Putin told a gathering of Russian industrialists on Thursday that government officials in Russia should adopt a more modest style by dressing more simply and purchasing more vehicles made in Russia. The Kremlin revived the Moskvich brand last year after a 20-year hiatus in an effort to increase Russian car production and evade Western sanctions imposed after the country's invasion of Ukraine. However, the revival of the Soviet marque was met with less than rapturous reviews from industry experts, who noted that the cars were nearly identical to designs from China. Russia's largest automaker, Avtovaz, has also been hit hard by Western sanctions, which led to the debut of a model without a sat-nav, airbags, or anti-lock brakes in 2016. Maxim Sokolov, CEO of Russian automaker Avtovaz, said in June that he was forced to hire prison gangs due to a lack of workers following the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine. Despite a lack of workers due to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, the iconic but unreliable Lada family car continues to be manufactured. Mr. Davinkov is, however, not the only Russian official to sing the praises of Russian automobiles. The head of Russia's lower house of parliament, Vyacheslav Volodin, said this week that he drives a Russian Urus saloon to and from work and a Moskv ICH3 on weekends because of their roomy, economical, and reliable nature. He then demanded that all other legislators do the same. Parliamentary deputies will use Moskvich, Lada, and Urus cars, he declared. The path that Moskvich paved for Russian-made automobiles in the UK.